Bots for the win.
Coming up on today's edition of Bots for the Win, we're talking about attention, why messenger open rates sadly are going away, and the 1-2 punch combo you need to be running yesterday. You ever see this internet meme? I don't know if it's an internet meme or if it's just a viral video from a few years back, but it's four construction dudes, right? And they're pretty much standing shoulder to shoulder, have the hard hats on, and they each have like the giant, super heavy sledgehammer in their hands. And they're standing on the edge. They're standing in like what looks like a parking lot, like a giant patch of concrete, right? And they're pounding into the ground this spike that holds up a giant tent that you would see for like Cirque du Soleil or like, a giant trade show or a giant wedding or something, some event that's going on. But it's a huge tent, and the spike is gigantic, and they're pounding this thing into concrete. And they've got this all sorted out, so they're completely in sync, right? So I'm gonna pull the video up, because despite the fact that this is a podcast and we've only got audio, I think when you hear it, so here they are getting ready. Oh, it's absolutely mesmerizing when you see it. I'm going to put it in the show notes. But they've got their cadence down. They're completely synchronized, and you could hear it where they're pounding it, where they're just going boom, 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 just hammering this thing into the ground. And these are huge sledgehammers. If anybody slips up, somebody's getting seriously hurt. So it's just a really, really interesting video, and I think it presents a kind of a profound metaphor, if you will, to how we want to look at and how we want to approach our marketing. And it certainly stuck with me forever. And I think if you listen to the first episode of this podcast, I made mention of what the sub-theme really of this podcast is going to be, and what the sub-theme of marketing is, in my estimation, and it's attention, right? And why? Because that's the business that we're all in. Turns out getting that attention, no easy feat. What does it take? Time, energy, effort, money, celebrity, being interesting, being infamous. I mean, the bottom line is it's just really, really hard to get. So if you're in business to sell something, or you have a message that you want heard, i.e. all of us, then you're going to need to do that. You're going to need to be able to get attention. So the great way to think about it, I think, is just like that tentpole situation. If you have a message you want heard, it just makes a tremendous amount of sense if you can hammer it from a number of different angles, and not just from different angles, but all at the same time, all deliberately, all in sync, right? Very methodical, very strategic, and very thought out. And so you try to get as much attention as you can with your message, right? In the intro, I said messenger open rates are going away, and sadly, they just are. I spend a tremendous amount of time studying, reading about what's going on in messenger marketing and sort of the chatbot space. And you see more and more people are taking the red pill, so to speak, right? They're coming on board. They're seeing it out there in marketing land. They're becoming interested, and blog posts are being written, and podcasts are going down, and the like. And almost 80% of them, maybe 90% of them, I would see. And let's just frame up an example. The host that doesn't know as much about chatbots or messenger marketing is talking to somebody that does, the expert. And it's like, well, why should I get into chatbots or messenger marketing? What do they say? What do they all say? Open rates. Well, the open rates. And so when you think about it like email, the open rates, and it's like, stop thinking about it like email. I don't care. It's not really a pet peeve. But the point is, the open rates are going away, but that's the hook that drives everybody in. And let me ask you something as I frame out the why it's going away. How many bots are you subscribed to? When you get to the 50, 60, 70 at a time, and you're going about your day, and you have the potential to be notified via bots when you're regularly signed into Facebook, let's just say on your computer, right? Like there's the little chatbot windows that pop up at the bottom, or the little chat windows that pop up at the bottom. There's your phone. And then if you're logged into Messenger, there's Messenger too. Do you have any idea, when you have 50 of them going on, how many times throughout the day that just bing, 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 bing? I mean, it's nonstop. And the desktop, when you're not logged into Messenger, is my favorite, because you have so many of them stacked along the bottom. You leave and you go get lunch, and you come back and you're like, oh my goodness, it's everywhere. So the open rates, they're just not sustainable. To be able to have these open rates the way that we're seeing them now, when it's a text message relationship with a phone in the pocket that makes that noise, it's going away. It's just not possible. There's no chance that's sustainable. And it's a fantastic arbitrage for now. Enjoy it if you're early to the party, and certainly enjoy it while it lasts. What's great about it, though, the fact that it's not going to last, what's absolutely great about it is I feel like so many people are going to get sucked into chatbots in general with the email mentality. This is just a new form of email. And I can get these incredible open rates. And I really feel like it's like the miners coming to mine gold in California, the California gold rush. There's gold in them thar hills, right? Everybody comes rushing in. Then all of that surface gold gets mined and goes away, i.e. the open rate. And then you've got a bunch of miners standing around with their picks and axes and sluice boxes wondering, what's next? What am I doing here? Well, it's like, it's okay, fellas. You're in California. It's quite beautiful here year round. You're going to enjoy it, especially back then. So there are so much awesome to be discovered after you get past the open rate portion. And there's the greatest power, the greatest efficiencies that you can get out of operating a bot happen after you get past the open rate and you start leveraging the bot for all the other awesome that it can do. It's really like why I'm keep harping on the why bots, why now, why Facebook Messenger, all of which is covered in episode 1. Now, as a short hedge before I go on to the meat of this thing in the main section, I could be somewhat wrong about the open rates, but let me explain. They very well might stay really high, but in order for that to happen, it is going to be an extremely small number of bots that you're actually subscribed to, that you're actually allowing to notify you and get these open rates like you're getting now. Like, I could imagine myself having like 1 or 2, right? I could, if it's the World Cup right now, I definitely have the World Cup bot going on. Or when it's the English Premier League season, I'd have the players that I'm following, or whatever the case may be. It's going to be some small, extremely small subset of all the things you're following, and it's certainly not going to be like email is, where we're subscribed to 75 different newsletters and they just pile up in our email inbox and we ignore them, right? That's just not the way it's going to go. So that perfectly tees up the 1-2 punch combo. And I just went through this entire rant about how open rates are going away. And now let's talk about open rates, because that's what this baby achieves. It's the email plus messenger broadcast. That is the 1-2 punch combo. And I want to formally define it. So it's an email you send to your list plus a messenger broadcast that you send to your messenger subscribers. You coordinate them in a fashion together, the subject lines being the most important aspect of it. Now, why do you do this? Because nobody is opening your email. They just aren't. You have to get their attention as many times as you can to get that email opened. People are just too distracted. And so this is where this technique comes in, and it's absolutely fantastic. Now, I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. Patrick, I'm busy. I barely have the time to get my marketing emails together. Great. Let me give you the just ship it version of this technique. Let's say I'm going to announce my ultimate guide to running contests with Facebook Messenger, episode 2, by the way. My subject line of my email is going to be announcing the ultimate guide to running contests with Facebook Messenger. I am then going to send that email. I am then going to use a ManyChat broadcast, chat field broadcast, whatever, messenger broadcast a few hours later. Hey, you probably already saw the email, but I just released the ultimate guide to running contests with Facebook Messenger. It's simple but effective, but that alone is a little hinge that can swing a big door. Just by virtue of throwing in, hey, you probably already saw the email, but I just released the ultimate guide to running contests with Facebook Messenger. That's the 1-2 punch. Boom, boom. You got them in 2 spots. You hit them in the email box in the morning. They got busy. They left. They got coffee. They had to go get their kid out of bed. Wife was yelling at them, whatever the case may be. You ignored that email. Then you get to your office or wherever else, or you're on the phone, or you're doing your commute in the subway, and boom, you get hit with that same subject line again. And what that does is that tends to seriously increase the open rate of your email. It does one better than that, actually. It actually increases the open rate of both. They work in conjunction. If you see it once, you are more apt to open it a second time, or open the email and also open the messenger broadcast if you ignore the email entirely, right? And I see, as more and more of the marketers that I follow and respect come online, this is almost like the very first dip a toe in the water go-to use of the chatbot, right? It's like the first thing that they do, because all the smart marketers know how important the 1-2 punch is, and we're gonna expand on it even further in just a second. So this is just such an easy thing to do for an extremely small investment in time you now have 2 bites at the apple. You've got the 1-2 punch at getting your message out. And just by being a little bit creative with the subject lines, you probably already saw this email, right? Hey, yes, I'm contacting you again. I'm sorry that I'm contacting you twice, but I just wanted to make sure you didn't miss it. And it can be as simple as just use that link to the piece of content, right? And you're done, and you're done. And that alone right there is a fantastic way to utilize the 2. It's why you should get started with Messenger right now. Don't know what you're going to build. Don't know what you're going to call your bot. Don't know what your welcome message is going to be. Does not matter. Does not matter. Start. Look at Messenger through just this technique alone, which is why you're going to want to start building subscribers in there. And if you use just this technique, it will be worth it for whatever ManyChat or Chatfield charges you for your subscriber base. This alone is worth it. It will drive up your open rates that significantly if done correctly. And that's just the low-hanging fruit. Anybody can do it. Easy tactic. I mean, to be honest with you, it's really just like treating Messenger like email, right? Which I'm not exactly a fan of, but it just works. And that's just the basic, right? Anybody can do it. Everybody should do it. It just makes such a tremendous amount of sense. But where the Messenger bots just become awesome is everything else that you can do with them, right? It's the choose your own adventure aspect. And so let's stick with my previous example and give you a 4 instance of one of 50 different ways that you can make this so much more compelling when you use the broadcast in Messenger. And so let's say I've got that same piece of content. In my case, it's a podcast. It's the ultimate guide to running contests with Facebook Messenger. Okay, great. When I get my Messenger broadcast set up, what if, instead of just linking to the piece of content in the just ship it very easy version, what if I broke that piece of content up into the 3 main parts, right? And let's say if it's running contests on Facebook Messenger, it's what I should give away, it's the bot building, and it's all the Facebook work and paid traffic. And I'm going to say, hey, Patrick, here's my ultimate guide on Facebook Messenger. Here are the 3 important parts. Boom, boom, boom. And I list those 3 and I put buttons for those 3, right? Send that broadcast out. Next thing you know, I've sent those to all my subscribers. I've sent the email out, and I get a look at the results after the fact, okay? And I'm looking at the results after the fact, and I now have data. I've got feedback on what my audience values the most out of that piece of content. For about 30 seconds worth of additional work, I now have feedback on what content I should probably go and make more of, right? Like their struggle, let's just say the answers came in, they were interested in the Facebook part and the ads feedback and the paid traffic portion. Okay, well now I know I've got to go create some more content around that. And so in just a very, very small amount of time, I've now gotten some in-depth analytics out of my content that I wouldn't have had before. I just would not have had that data. And so the polling aspect, the ability of polling your aspect of this 1-2 punch is incredible too. That's just like another layer of value that you're getting out of something that would have just been a 1-to-1 broadcast. And yes, I realize you could try to do that polling thing with your email, get 3 anchor links, link out of it, all of that. But it's just so fast and efficient. It's just so fast and efficient in Messenger. It's so quick and easy to build it and great to get the feedback and really tailor things to the audience. So the 1-2 punch combo, absolutely incredible. And I think any time that you can utilize the 1-2 punch combo in marketing makes so much sense. You need all the help. We all need all the help that we can get to get people's attention here, there, and everywhere. Now, there's a bonus here, right? And so if we think of the 1-2 punch combo, I've got kind of 2 analogies working, right? Like I like leveraging the 1-2 punch combo, and I think that's something that's easy to understand. Bing, bing, 1 punch, 2 punch. But I started off with all the guys in the hammers, right? And if you get to the show notes of this and you look at that video, maybe it'll stick in your mind. But I think the bonus here and what the smart marketer has been doing for many, many years is taking this 1-2 punch combo and expanding out, right? And so let me explain. And again, nothing new here, nothing new, right? Smart marketers have been doing this for years. Getting attention is hard. Number 2, different people hang out in different venues. They just do. Yes, everybody's got email, but you've got some people that are hanging out on Facebook and some that are hanging out on Instagram and some that are hanging out on Twitter and some that are hanging out who knows where, right? And there's this concept called effective frequency, which I think also works to just describe communication. And it's like exposures to your message, the number of exposures to your message that are required to achieve effective communication. And it's really the more channels that you can add, the more effective it is. So let's go back to the guys pounding the tent spike into the ground, and let's include what we know about the 1-2 punch in Messenger. And here's what it looks like. You identify all the hammers that you've got, right? That you've got in your arsenal. And I'm going to use a SaaS example. I've got an email list. I've got social accounts. I've got the ability to do paid traffic. Let's stick to Facebook and Instagram. I've got in-app messaging, and let's say this case through Intercom. That's internal to your application. They log in, you can hit them with a chat window. Okay. I've got browser notifications. I love browser notifications. The app I use for this is PushCrew. I know there's a whole bunch of different ones. I saw on Growth Hackers this morning. They have one called Mo Engage or something like that. I think Sumo Me's got one, but this is basically you sign up for those push notifications and then you're able to whack people inside the browser. So let's say those are the hammers that I have in my bag. I've got my piece of content. Let's just stick with the same piece of content to keep things simple. So I've got my ultimate guide to running contests with Facebook Messenger. Let's deploy everything. Let's synchronize it. Let's be swinging the sledgehammers and making that beautiful sound all together. So I might start, running ads on Facebook and Instagram before I've even sent that email, right? I have my email list as a custom audience in Facebook. I'm now showing those people Facebook and Instagram ads of this piece of content before I even email. Then I'm going to send to my most engaged segment on email, charge up those open rates. Then I'm going to go ahead and drop my social updates. Then I'm going to go ahead and hit them with the PushCrew browser notification. Then I'm going to go ahead and email the rest of my list. In each of those cases, the content is all beautifully dovetailing with one another. It's all the same message. It's all the same imagery. It's all the same language. And I do all of that in conjunction at the same time. I'm hammering from all of those angles, bing, 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 bing. And it's amazing how few businesses and marketers even do this, because it's just so insanely effective. When you add to that Messenger, it just gives it such a profound level up. You're hammering them in all those channels, everywhere at once. You are unescapable. They are going to read that content. They are going to consume it. They're going to share it. So it is just an absolutely powerful technique to utilize. It all starts with the 1-2 punch, and then you graduate to the next level. So Messenger is just incredible at this. Highly recommend you guys start running it. There is a bit of creativity that goes into how you do it, how you break it up. So before I get into today's bot teardown, a good one, fired up about it. Let's talk about this technique in action, right? So I've got that video I owe you. I've got a link to an article that I owe you from this bot teardown I'm going to talk about in a second, which is awesome. So I'm going to put those two things in the show notes. I'm also going to put into the show notes an example of how I like to do the 1-2 punch combo. And so it'll be just a Messenger reference URL link that you can click that will throw you into Messenger. I'll ask for your email. Don't worry, I'm not going to spam. The unsubscribe buttons on my email is gigantic. And I'm going to show you the 1-2, how I like to run it between the subject lines. I might even do some pulling in there. We'll see. So if that's something you fancy, all you have to do is type botsforthewin.com. It's bots, FTW for short, or where you can pull out Messenger on your phone, search for bots for the win. And that's how you can find me. You can get into my bot and you will be able to get the show notes and see how I do the 1-2 punch combo. There's definitely an art form to it. Now, let's shift gears into the bot teardown. And so for today's teardown, I picked something interesting and a quick side rant on the bot teardowns. I see more and more marketers out there are starting to do it. Put these videos out, and I think that's awesome. I mean, there's nothing better than seeing and experiencing all these various different bots and what you can learn from it. But the landscape out there is just so profound, right? There's so many different ones from so many different companies and so many different niches. So I'm kind of wondering where I should focus mine, which is just sort of a side thought. But for the time being, guy shared an article in one of the Facebook groups, and the post was titled, make sure I got a link here. I don't want to muck up this title. The post was titled, "What D&D Taught Me About Creating Chatbots." And the guy's name is Bill Powell, and he's just started a bot agency called The Goodness Factory. I looked at his about me section, him and his wife. And the article is really cool. You definitely want to read the article regardless. Got to give this guy some love. And he's talking about how his agency, how he approaches developing A, the name, and B, the personality, the tone, the language, the satire, how the bot goes about interacting and what his personality is. And I loved it. It was a great piece. And so I checked out his bot. I was like, all right, this guy can write this article. I bet he's got a good bot. And his bot did not disappoint. So what did I love about it? Really creative use of on-brand quick reply buttons that I hadn't seen yet. Really cool. So that's in the video. Great copywriting overall, as come to be expected from someone that wrote a post like that. And then great use of user surveying and just how smooth and quick it was, I think was quite profound for me. So this is just a great bot to check out, regardless if you're creating an agency, if that's your jam or not. If you just want to see how someone that's spent a lot of time to make it a really, really smooth process, I think you did a great job. I got to give this guy a shout out to Bill Powell and the Goodness Factory. So that is the episode for today. I want to thank you for listening and have a great day.